Health and fitness requires more than just the physical work. It starts with the work you put in to grow your mind. Welcome to the Mind Gains podcast, where we discuss what it takes mentally to see results physically. I'm your host, Jess. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. I hope you are having a great start to your week so far. If you're watching on YouTube, you might notice I actually have some coffee with me today. I am actually getting to record this a little bit earlier in the day than I usually do. I feel like I'm normally recording in the afternoons, but it's late morning at this point, so I get to actually sit down and record an episode and kind of sip on my coffee at the same time, which is going to be nice. But I hope you guys have had a really great week since the last time we spoke last week. This week has been honestly kind of crazy for me. Moss has been out of town since Tuesday, and it is Friday currently for me as I'm sitting here and recording this. And things definitely get a little bit more hectic when he's not around, just dealing with extra housework. Obviously, I don't have anyone to kind of help me with that during this time. So things have been definitely crazy this week, but he does come home in a few hours. So I am excited to get to see him and have my partner back and get to not be the only one doing the dishes and the laundry. But anyways, I hope you guys have had a great week. I'm excited to get into today's topic. I feel like I've been having so many conversations on this topic in the last week or two, and it is something that can be really prevalent during any time of our journey, but I feel like especially when you're first starting out, this is something you're going to be dealing with a lot, and it's most likely that you're not going to be able to avoid this unless you literally are not ever going out with friends or family. You're never out in social settings, or you don't work in an office or whatever it may be. You are really unlikely to never have to go through this very awkward, very uncomfortable starting stage when you are starting to kind of watch your food intake and make sure that you are implementing healthy habits to change your lifestyle. And so today we're going to be talking about staying strong under peer pressure and how to do that. Really what that looks like, and just having a conversation about it so that you are not the only one that is dealing with this. I think it's so easy to get discouraged and get caught up in our heads a lot of the time when we're starting, because we feel like we're the only ones doing it, because in our social circle, we're pretty much the only ones doing it most of the time. And so it can feel very isolating and very lonely, but I think it's also helpful to know that there's so many other people out there that are experiencing the same exact thing you are. And that's also why it's really important to have a community of people that do get it, because unfortunately, most people are never going to get it. Most people are never going to understand the lifestyle that you are trying to implement. Most people are not going to understand why you track your macros, or why you might sometimes make sacrifices and only have one drink at happy hour when you used to have 4 or 5 plus drinks. And unfortunately, most of the time, it's actually the people that are closest to us that end up putting that peer pressure on us, whether it's intentional or not. I will say most of the time, I don't think it's intentional. I don't think there's any malice behind it. I think that they genuinely just don't understand, and they think you're being too hard on yourself when you're actually trying to practice discipline. But it does make it a lot harder when it's your family members or your closest friends, your best friends, or the people that you're surrounded with all day, every day at work, or honestly, even your spouse. I know a lot of times I talk to people and it's their spouse that is the one that's kind of placing that unintentional pressure on them. Again, I don't usually, 9 out of 10 times, I don't think that it is in a negative way. I don't think that they're trying to put you down, but they just simply don't understand it because they're not doing it. So regardless of whoever it is in your life, it is still very difficult. And so I definitely want to talk about staying strong under peer pressure, because this is a lot of times the area where we struggle a lot, especially to start off, because again, that's usually where we kind of get that pressure placed on us, is right at the very beginning. But it is important that if we have set these goals in place and we are determined to change our lifestyle, we cannot be giving into peer pressure. That is non-negotiable. If we are, we're going to stay exactly where we are, and we can say goodbye to everything that we've been working so hard towards and everything we actually want. And the truth is that your goals are yours. No one else has to understand them except for you. And That can be really hard sometimes because we want everyone to understand them. And if people do, that's fantastic. But we can't spend all of our time and our energy trying to explain it to everyone else if they're just unwilling to accept it or unwilling to understand or unwilling to try to see your perspective in it. At the end of the day, you are the only one that really has to understand what you're doing. I'm sure that you did not start your health and fitness journey to impress anyone. I'm sure you probably started it because you wanted to build up your confidence. You wanted to change your habits and your lifestyle. You wanted to change your health status and you wanted to help your longevity in the long run. So it's very normal to have different goals from everyone else around you who is not placed such high value on the same things that you have. And honestly, you need to give yourself permission to set healthy boundaries when it comes to this. I know we've kind of spoken about boundaries in the past here and there on this podcast, but it is so important. It is non-negotiable, actually. You have to be okay with setting healthy boundaries. And that doesn't mean that you're just putting up all these barriers and all these boundaries and you're never going to go out with anyone again. You're never going to see your friends again. You're never going to go out to eat at a restaurant with your family because you are setting all of these boundaries. But there's a difference between that and setting a healthy boundary with yourself and with the other people in your life. Because again, we can't wait for everyone else in our lives to understand what we're doing. Because if we do that, we are never, ever, ever going to get out of where we currently are. We're never going to take any steps forward. And honestly, the thing that has helped me personally when it comes to moments like this, when you get those comments or, some questions that maybe aren't phrased the nicest way, is to remember that people project their own insecurities and their own habits. Again, sometimes it is with the goal of kind of tearing you down. It's very unfortunate, but I have not personally really dealt with that too much, but I've seen other people who have people very close to them in their lives that it actually does seem to be very intentional that they're trying to bring them down because they see, oh, my best friend is actually getting her life together and she's actually taking really great care of herself. She's in the gym 4 days a week. She's tracking her macros. She's lost 15 pounds already and she looks fantastic. I know that that's really hard and I don't think that I can do it. I don't think I have the capability and I'm going to play victim now. And now I'm just going to kind of stay stuck here. But now I'm going to project my insecurity on my best friend because I don't want her to succeed. And it's really unfortunate. And again, I think that's a very one-off situation. I think a lot of times that's not the case, but it is something to remember that if you do have someone in your life that's doing that to you, that's not a true friend. Because no one who actually cares about you and who actually loves you is going to want to see you fail and discouraged and keep you stuck at their level because they're scared, or they think they can't do it, or it's too hard for them to get out of their comfort zone. But most of the time, I think it's a very unintentional thing of maybe they're not consciously thinking that of, oh, well, I'm going to stay here because it's a lot more comfortable to not have to step out of my comfort zone and not have to start doing all these things and get to the gym and learn how to track and blah, blah, blah. But it's a subconscious thing that I think they do actually think that. They just don't have that intention behind it. And so sometimes it's like this jealousy feeling of when you see someone else actually succeeding in something and you truly, like deep down, you want that, but you know it's so difficult or you feel like it's not possible for you. We as humans tend to try to tear other people down, and it's really sad. But we cannot allow that to be the reason that we kind of stay stuck. We can't allow someone else pressuring us to have, I don't know, an extra drink than what we had originally planned. We can't allow their insecurity and their wants and their desires to trump ours. And honestly, again, I know I keep saying it because I truly do believe it, but I think it's usually very innocent though. If you're going out with your friends to have burgers and fries, every Tuesday night, you guys go out. That's like your tradition. Burgers and fries, all of your girlfriends come around, and that's like your tradition every single week. Now, if you say, okay, well, I am in a calorie deficit, burgers and fries every single week is not really going to progress me in the way that I want towards my goals. So I'm still going to go and I'm still going to have a great time. I'm still going to get to talk with my friends and spend time with them, spend good quality time with them. But maybe I'm just going to have a grilled chicken sandwich instead of a burger. Or maybe I'm going to swap the fries out for a better side dish. Or maybe I'm going to have only one drink instead of 3 drinks. A lot of times you will get pushback from your friends. And if you have not experienced this yet, just be prepared for it. A lot of times you will get that pushback because they want to share that experience with you. They know that we have been going out to get burgers and fries every single week for the past 3 years. This is going to change everything. Like, just get a burger and fries. They can't connect the dots in their head that you're in a calorie deficit and you have this goal to lose 10 pounds by your vacation coming up in a few months. And it's so important to you, and you want to build healthier habits because you want to better your health and you want to prioritize your health. They don't connect the dots between those two things. They just see, oh, you're being really hard on yourself and you're restricting yourself. And this is something we've always done. So why can't you just do it for me? They feel connected through those shared habits. And I think that's kind of valid when you first think about it. But when you think about what you're really there for, you're not there for the burger and fries. You're not there for the food. You're there to spend time with your friends. By you going and just getting a different meal, that does not change one single thing about your time spent with them. So I also think it's really important sometimes if you are in a situation where your friends or your family or whoever does not quite seem to understand what you're doing or why you're doing it or why it's so important to you, I think it's really important to have a conversation with them. And it doesn't have to be this like super serious, let's sit down for 4 hours and talk about this, but just saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is how much value I place on this goal. This is how much value I place on changing my lifestyle and changing my health for the better. It's really, really important to me, and I would really love your support on this, and I would really love for you to have my back. I still want to go out every Tuesday night. I still want to spend this time with you. It's so important to me to get to see you every single Tuesday night, but I'm probably going to be ordering different food. It doesn't change a single thing about our friendship. It doesn't change a single thing about our time together, which I feel like should go without saying. But, just having that conversation with them, again, if they really care about you, if they are really your friends, they are going to understand and they are going to be supportive of you. And honestly, if they're not, maybe you have some thinking to do about that friendship. I'm not here to tell you who to be friends with and who not to be friends with, but if there's people in your life that don't want to see you succeed, that is a really telltale sign of how much they care about you and how good of a friend they are to you. And if after that you go out and they're still trying to push stuff on you, they're still trying to force stuff on you, they're telling you that it's okay, just have a couple bites of mine, or just order it and eat like half of it. Just, it's okay. Like, it's totally fine if you have the burger tonight. You deserve a lot more support than that. Because I think what people don't understand, talking about like from their perspective, is it is already so stinking hard to do this when you're first starting. Honestly, that situation, it's pretty much still hard all the time. I don't care how deep into your health and fitness journey you are. It can be really hard to set that boundary with yourself and be like, you know what, I really did want the burger and fries, but I'm going to go ahead and make the better decision tonight. It's hard no matter what phase of it you're in, but especially when you're starting and you probably really don't have that much discipline and you're trying to build it up. It's already so difficult to do that. It's already so much of a challenge to do that you don't need people on top of that trying to pressure you into giving in and into breaking the promise that you made to yourself. If the people around you are okay with you breaking the promises that you make to yourself, honestly, I would ask them, well, would you be okay if I broke my promises to you? Would you be okay if I told you X, Y, and Z, I'm going to do this, that, and the other, and then I just never follow through on it? Because their answer is probably going to be no. So if that's the case, then, I think a lot of times just kind of phrasing things that way will help people understand, like, oh, okay, so when we go out to eat and you actually make the hard decision to order different food because it is a hard decision, That's you keeping a promise to yourself. And I don't want you to not trust yourself. I don't want you to break promises to yourself because it's really hard to get that trust back. And it's really hard to then continue to try to build up discipline when you repeatedly give in and never follow through on what you said you were going to. But I will say, in my experience and in the experience of a lot of people that I've spoken to, this does get easier with time. So if you're just starting out and you are currently in like the middle of all of this and everyone in your life is trying to like peer pressure you at every turn, every social event, every outing, just know that it does get easier. Again, if you have those conversations with people, you keep showing up for yourself and you keep sticking to your promises, eventually they're going to see, okay, you know what? My pressuring is not working. Like me trying to convince her to do the thing I want her to do is not working because she does stick to her promises. So I'm going to back off. And they also will just see over time that this is now your lifestyle. Like this is now who you are. And this is just what you do. And these are the choices that you make. It's almost like you have to reintroduce yourself to people, not in like a really dramatic way. But if you used to not give a rip about what you used to put in your body and you would go out 4 nights a week and not care about getting to bed early so that you can go to the gym in the morning and have a really great lift, people are going to be confused at first because, again, most people will never do that. Most people will never even try to do it. So they're not going to get it when you are sticking to your guns. It's going to take them time to just see, okay, this is who she is now. Like, this is, it hasn't like, it doesn't have to be like, again, this big dramatic thing. Like, she's a whole different person, but in a good way, her habits have changed. And she doesn't want to go out 4 nights a week. And she doesn't want to stay out super late because her sleep is important to her. It's never ever going to be comfortable to have to go through that process of reintroducing yourself, but it is necessary if you do intend on making this a lifestyle. And people will catch up eventually. If they don't, and if you do end up losing people in your life, friendships, whatever, over this might be a really hard truth, but honestly, you're better off. And I don't mean that to be, just like sever ties with people, sever friendships. Like, no, we're going to love them, but we're going to love them at a distance. That's where those boundaries come into play. Because again, you can't keep yourself stuck in places that are not good for you, places you don't even want to be to make other people happy. You can't do it at the expense of yourself and for your health. And honestly, you're going to meet other people that do get it. You are going to meet other people, other friendships are going to form, and other circles of people, other communities of people are going to start forming around you. People that are like-minded and who aren't going to pressure you and who do get it when you say, you know what, I want to go out to eat, but I'm probably not going to order my usual burger and fries. I'm going to go out tonight, but I'm probably going to want to be in bed by like 9 or 10 p.m. because I got to get up and I got to get a lift in tomorrow. But one thing is for sure is you have to stand your ground. Because if you go out with your friends and you told them, yeah, I'm going to go out, but I'm not going to order what I normally do. This is my plan instead. This is what I'm going to do. And they start pressuring you because they're probably going to try. Again, it's probably not in a negative way, but they are probably going to make some sort of comment about it. You cannot give in to that peer pressure because the second you do, you have now reiterated to them that, yeah, you know what? I don't keep my promises. And I actually lied and I went against what I said I was going to do. So now every time you can continue to try to peer pressure me into doing whatever you want me to do, and that's going to work because it worked the first time. It's a subconscious thing and you cannot allow that to happen. You have to be so okay with putting your foot down, even when you are the only one who is fighting for you to make that decision. So I want to talk about some practical tips that you can try out that might help, when you're in social settings, if you're around different types of food, just things that I personally do. And again, a lot of my clients do that do help them kind of avoid some of that pressure and help them stick to whatever their plan was going into it. So if you are going into a social event and you actually really don't even want to have the food that's there, you still plan on going and you're going to have a great time. You're going to get to hang out with the people there, but you're like, you know what? I really actually don't want the food that's there. But I know if I don't go in with a plan, I'm going to end up just consuming basically everything in sight because that's my default. That's what I always fall back to doing. I always recommend eating something beforehand. So you want to get something in that is really satiating. It's going to keep you full for 3-4+ hours, however long you plan to kind of be at that event, if you don't want to actually bring your own food. Now, there's lots of times I personally do actually bring my own food to whatever that social event is. Obviously, it depends on what it is. Like if I'm going to my parents' house or my in-laws or something like that, I'm very comfortable bringing my own food. So I literally pack up a giant lunchbox with all of my food for the day that I have prepped, pre-logged. Like I know I'm sticking to my plan and I bring it. And whenever they eat, I heat up my food and that's what I'm eating. In situations where maybe I'm not comfortable doing that, again, I will just make sure I'm eating right beforehand. I've realized that if I'm going to be traveling all day, like if I am going somewhere and I'm going to be in the car for a good little bit, I want to eat again, literally right before I go in because I'm a hungry girl and I eat quite a bit. And I know for a fact if I don't eat right before, I'm basically screwing myself over because I know I'm going to be so hungry that the second I walk through those doors and I see some food, I'm just going to want to eat it. So if I have a travel day and I'm in the car for a couple hours, 2-3 hours, whatever, I just make sure that the food that I have with me don't need to be heated up. So I'll usually plan something like a sandwich or a salad, a wrap, something like that, that I'm not like having to actually use a microwave to heat up. I'll just know, okay, I have my sandwich with me and I'll eat it when we're maybe like 20 minutes out from wherever we're going. And then I'll make sure that I have some options that I also don't have to heat up for when I get back in the car or, whenever I start traveling back home right after that event. Now, if you do actually want to have some of the food that's there, no issue. What I recommend here is still having a meal beforehand. You don't really want to go into, I would say, basically any event that you plan on kind of staying on track for. You don't want to go into any event super hungry. So, still having a very satiating meal right beforehand. And then when you get to wherever you're going, you want to have some of the food there in moderation, totally fine. Utilize, I think I've talked about the hand guide before on here, where it's like a palm sized serving of protein, maybe a fist-sized serving of carbs, something like that. Just kind of structure your plate that way to make sure I'm still getting in the foods that I need, but I'm also enjoying the food that is here without going insanely overboard, all in, because I was starving when I got here and I literally couldn't even control myself once I saw the food. You don't want to go in super hungry because that's when I know for myself, in my personal experience, that's when everything goes out the window. Discipline is non existent, and I just stuff my face until I literally can't even take it anymore. So I've learned from my mistake, and we don't do that if we plan on being on track for the day and we do plan on committing to our goals. I've also come to realize that it's super important the way you speak about all of this. Like your verbiage and your language matters a ton. If you go into an event and you tell your friends or you tell your family or you tell your coworkers, sorry, I can't have that food. It doesn't fit into my diet. It doesn't work for me. I can't have it. I can't eat carbs. I can't do this, that, or the other thing. Everyone's going to take that and run with it because they see that you're miserable. They see that you don't actually want to be doing this and you're restricting yourself. And honestly, if you genuinely feel that way, that's a whole different story because we should not be feeling this way when we're doing this. If we're doing it correctly, that should not be the way that we feel. But when I started changing my verbiage around all of it, that was what really, really mattered. And people's responses were night and day difference. If someone comes up to you at a party and says, "Hey, we ordered pizza. Can you have pizza? Are you allowed to eat pizza?" And you say, "No, I'm not allowed to eat pizza. It doesn't fit into my diet today." No good. But if you say, "Yeah, I can have pizza. I can have anything I want. I just don't really want the pizza today," they're going to take that a lot better. If you're at the party and you know that you've had your serving of moderation, you know that, okay, I got to enjoy the foods here, but here's my limit, here's my boundary because I still want to be on track for the day. And someone comes up to you and offers you more food, you cannot sit there and look miserable and whine and complain about the fact that I can't have any more because I've already had some and it doesn't work in my macros for today. It would be a lot better to say something like, Yeah, you know what? I actually already had some. It was really, really good, but I'm okay for now. I'm actually not feeling too hungry right now, but thank you for offering. If I want some more later, I'll definitely grab some. Entirely different response, right? And again, that should genuinely be your response. If it's not your response, you are probably approaching this with way too much restriction. Way too much. You are probably not doing this in a very balanced and sustainable way. But I also know sometimes that's just like our natural response is to say, like, oh, I can't have any more. So, really watching my verbiage around all of it made a huge difference with the way people took it and the way people responded to it. And the other really cool thing about that is that it also will portray to people like, hey, what I'm doing is actually very sustainable. I actually really enjoy what I'm doing. And I'm not starving myself. I'm not restricting myself. I'm not telling myself I can't have any of the food that's here. I actually had some already and it was really great and I really enjoyed it, but I'm satisfied and I'm good. And if I really want more later, I'll have a little bit more. I'm not restricting myself from it. And honestly, a lot of times those people, they see you do it long enough, talking months, even years, a lot of times, they will start to come around to it. And they'll start being like, oh, yeah, I've seen you doing this thing for quite a while now. It seems like it's worked great. Seems like you're still doing it. It's not like keto or another diet or whatever where you do it for a few months and then you just can't take it anymore. You want to like rip your hair out. So you end up quitting and then gaining all the weight back. Like what you're doing seems to actually work and it actually seems to be sustainable. Like what have you been doing? Can you tell me about it? And then it opens up an opportunity for you to help other people and for you to share what has been working for you. And then we are impacting the other people around us, which is really cool. And honestly, a lot of times it's the same people that made a lot of comments up front, honestly, even snarky ones, that will come around and be like, oh, dang, like what you're doing, it's not a joke. You're actually serious and you actually are doing it and you committed to it. Like, it's been working great. You've kept off the weight. What are you doing? Can you please help me? And then we get to, again, help them in that. And we're not going to be, even if they came at us at the beginning and we're kind of snarky with their comments, we're never going to be rude about it. Of course, we're going to help them. But I just think that's really cool that that's usually the way it works. It's the same people that kind of make the comments up front. It's the coworkers that have some sass about it. It's the friends that don't understand it. It's the family members that kind of give you judgmental looks. Those are the same ones that usually will come and ask you for advice once they see the results that you got from just changing your lifestyle. If you are really struggling with this, though, if you feel like there is no one in your corner that is ever trying to help you in this or is ever trying to keep you accountable to your decisions, I really strongly recommend reaching out to someone, finding a community of people if you don't already have that. Like, yes, we can absolutely do it without anyone else being on board. That's very possible. But at the same time, especially when you're first starting out, it can be so much harder. Like, that could be the difference between you actually sticking to it and you not sticking to it. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be someone that you know, like in person, physically. I'm sure there's lots of things out there where you can connect with other people who, again, have the same values and the same mindsets, and you can lean on each other for that support, even if it's not in person. And I think that staying focused on big picture is going to be really helpful as well. If you kind of view each social setting by itself as like a one-off thing, you are a lot more likely, again, to kind of like give in to whatever the temptation is in that moment. But if you see the impact that each of these social events has, and you say, you know what, it's not just, oh, a one off situation, right? Like, I didn't stick to my promise today, but it's just a one off situation. If you can see the big picture and how all of these situations really can greatly affect your progress, I think it makes it a lot easier to stick to your promises. But when I say that, I don't want that to be mistaken. I don't want that to be like, oh my gosh, I can never eat off plan, because that's not what I mean. But I think a lot of times in our head, we can think, oh, well, it's just this one social outing. But then we have two more coming up the same week that we have the same mindset around. And maybe the one social outing once every few weeks isn't going to matter. But if we are continuously doing that and continuously breaking our promises week after week, several times a week, yeah, that's going to matter a ton. and we're not going to make significant progress in that. So, really viewing that big picture and all of those situations as here's an opportunity for me to practice self discipline. Here's an opportunity for me to either commit to my goals and commit to myself and aim to be 1% better and take a step towards what I really want, or kind of like keep myself stuck here, or maybe even take a step backward from where I want to be. If we view it that way, I find that it really helps, again, for us to be able to understand the weight of our decisions and how important it is for us to set those boundaries and to keep our promises. Now, with that, if you do slip up, it is okay. This is about progress. It's not about perfection. You're not going to be perfect. You are going to give in sometimes. Again, going back to what I just said a few minutes ago, if we're giving in multiple times a week, every single week, that's an issue. If we slip up once every 3, 4, 5+ weeks, it does not matter one single bit. If we decide that, this Tuesday night, we plan to order that grilled chicken sandwich instead of the burger, but Tuesday night rolls around and you do actually really, really, really want the burger and you've been super on it for like 3 weeks. And I'm talking actually on it, not just in your head. You think you've been doing so great, but in reality, when we look at the facts and we look at the numbers, you actually really haven't been. I'm talking you really have been dedicated the last 3 weeks and you really want that burger and fries. It is okay. Even if you planned on having the chicken sandwich, it is okay if you have the burger and fries. We're not going to beat ourselves up over not being perfect. It's okay. Like that social event is part of your life, and we don't need to freak out over every little thing or every little slip up, quote unquote. And I say that because honestly, that's not really a slip up. That's just you wanted the burger, so you had the burger. It's okay to include those things in moderation. But what we don't want to do is get upset at ourselves, beat ourselves up over it, and say, oh my gosh, why did I order the burger? I said I was going to order the chicken sandwich. I didn't do it. I gave in. And then we end up spiraling, and then we kind of fall into that all or nothing mindset where we say, well, we already messed up, so we might as well just have 5 drinks on top of that burger and fries because it doesn't matter anyway. We don't want to beat ourselves up over a conscious decision that we made. And we don't want to beat ourselves up over not being perfect when we are super on top of it 90+% of the time. That's just like a mental battle that we're going to constantly find ourselves in. And we're like waging war with ourselves, which is never a good place to be. We don't want to feel regret over ordering that burger. We don't want to beat ourselves up over it and keep ourselves stuck there. Like, you had the burger, so who freaking cares? Honestly, like, you can have a burger and still make progress. It is okay. I'm just talking about overall balance, right? We don't want to be restricting ourselves, and we don't want to never have the things that we want, but we also don't want to never make sacrifices, never practice self-discipline, always give in to peer pressure, and break our promises to ourselves continuously. But I think no matter what, it is really important for you to determine your why behind everything that you're doing. I'm not even just talking about nutrition. I'm talking about the gym. I'm talking about every single aspect of this, you meeting your step goal, like whatever it is, you have to be crystal clear on how much value you place on what you're doing and what your why is behind all of this. Because if we don't have that constantly at the forefront of our minds, we probably are going to give in to every single little thing. As soon as that first little bit of temptation comes around, as soon as we decide, I am super tired, my alarm's going off super early, it's not even light out, and I'm exhausted, I don't want to get to the gym, it's going to be so easy for us in that moment to give in and to stay in bed and not go to the gym, because we're looking at very surface level. We're looking at I just know I need to go to the gym, but I don't want to go to the gym, so I'm just not going to go to the gym. As opposed to thinking about, okay, maybe I really don't want to go to the gym right now, but it is so important to me to take care of my health because I want to be a really healthy mom, and I want to be a really healthy grandmother, and I want to be around for a really long time. And when I'm older, I don't want to be reliant and dependent on other people to take care of me because I never took care of myself. I don't want to have to live in a nursing home. I don't want to need help going to the bathroom because I don't have the strength to get up from a toilet. It kind of sounds dramatic, but at the same time, we have to really think about why it's important to us that we're doing all of this. And we can definitely think about the physical goals that we have as well. Maybe we really do want to lose some body fat. Maybe we want to build some muscle definition. Maybe we have never really felt that confident in our skin or in our clothes. And we would just love to have a little bit of that weight taken off of us. And we would love to feel really confident in shorts and in dresses and in skirts. Like maybe that's a goal for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's still something that we need to keep in mind. But I always go back to getting into the health aspect of it. Because even those physical goals, while they're super great and they can be really motivating, they still are pretty surface level. At the end of the day, you having a six pack and you being shredded and lean and defined is still pretty surface level. And when those temptations come around, you're still a lot of times probably going to be like, you know what, screw the six pack. I want 7 slices of pizza because that's what I want right now. But I think for a lot of people, if we really think about, you know what, I want to be around for a long time and I want to be able to see my grandchildren grow up and I want to be able to see maybe even my great grandchildren, and I don't want to be dependent on people when I'm elderly. I think that is a lot better of a foundation and a value because I think our quality of life is extremely precious. And usually it's not something that we can get back or do too much about once we've let it go long enough. And I also think pulling from past memories on how you either have given into temptation and how you probably didn't feel so great mentally or physically after that decision versus maybe times that you have kept your promise and how you felt after that decision is really helpful as well. Kind of seeing, when you are faced with a certain decision and you are kind of tempted to give in again, but you really don't want to. Deep down, you're like, no, I really want to stay strong. This is super important to me, but like the temptation is setting in hard. I think being able to view both of those paths and see, okay, but which one gives me long-term satisfaction? Because I can guarantee you it's not the quick fix one. It's not the instant gratification one. The instant gratification one, you're going to be happy for about, I don't know, anywhere from 10 seconds to maybe 10 minutes. Then you are probably going to feel not so hot physically because if you like overate, I'm thinking about, obviously every situation could be a little bit different, but thinking about maybe in a situation where you overate, you didn't eat the best quality food, maybe you're feeling really sick afterwards or just not your best mentally as well, like knowing that you could have made the better decision versus, okay, I actually stuck to my promise and maybe it was difficult at first because I really kind of did want the pizza or whatever we're talking about. But 10 minutes later, when everyone's done with the pizza and they all feel like crap, oh my gosh, I actually feel amazing because number one, I didn't eat garbage. And number two, I trust myself. Like I made the difficult decision. And now going into the next occasion, I know that I'm capable of saying no and setting a healthy boundary with myself and making a sacrifice and practicing discipline. I know that I am capable of keeping a promise to myself. I know how important that is to me. And that feeling is honestly pretty addictive. Like when you start seeing your capabilities and you start seeing, oh my gosh, I can do really hard things, that is an addictive feeling. So I think just sometimes visualizing the two paths you can go down can be really beneficial as well. You are not here to please everybody else around you at your own expense. You are not here to say yes to happy hour, to say no to the gym, to saying no to getting home early so that you can go to bed and get your workout in tomorrow morning. You're not here to do all of that at the expense of yourself and your health. You have to get comfortable with putting up those healthy boundaries in a very kind and loving way. That does not mean that we're going to start being rude to everyone and we're going to start thinking that we're better than everyone because, oh, we're doing things that no one else is doing. That's not what I mean. That's never the approach. But just knowing, okay, this is very important to me. And while it might not be important to anyone else around me right now, I still have to stay strong. And honestly, it's not up to anybody else but you. You have to take on that responsibility to say, I am the one that has put these goals in place for myself. I am the one that cares deeply about changing my lifestyle or changing my body composition or whatever it is. It is not on one single other person. No one else is to blame for your lack of discipline and your lack of commitment to yourself. Even if you feel peer pressured, that is not a permission slip for you to just go off and not stick to your plan. At the end of the day, it's still up to you. I don't care how much pressure you feel from whatever social setting, from whoever it is in your life. It could be the most important person in your life, and they're telling you, I want you to do this for me. If you give in, it's on you and it's not on them. You have to be strong enough to say no, to look them in the eye and say, I love you so much, but this is so important to me. And so I'm going to say no. And again, this all sounds super dramatic, but I really have heard some stories of some pretty horrible situations when it comes to this. So I know there's someone out there that is dealing with it, but you do have to be willing to put up that healthy boundary. You have to be willing to tell all your family members. You have a super close-knit family who your culture is just eating together, cooking food like every Saturday or every Sunday, all day, you're just eating food. You have to be willing to look them in the eye and say, I love you so much, I can't do this anymore. It does not mean that I'm not going to be here. It doesn't mean that our time is going to be impacted whatsoever, but I'm going to bring my own food. You have to start building that trust with yourself. Whether it is your family member, whether it is your best friends or your coworkers or whoever, you have to be okay with telling them no sometimes. Because guess what? You can go out to eat with your coworkers and they can make all the comments in the world. They could be snarky, they could be snide, they could be rude. They could try to get you to give in and to eat whatever with them and to just throw your plan out the window. But they're not the ones that feel the way that you feel. They're not the ones who have a desire to better themselves in that area and to change their body composition and to increase their energy levels and to increase their confidence and to better their health. They're not the ones that want to do that. Why are we putting our results in their hands? Why are we letting them take the reins and just hoping that we get to where we want to be? It's okay if they don't have the same values as us. It's okay if they don't want the same things. But if you want better and you want different, you have to act differently than them. Again, not in a, oh, I'm better than them way, but you can't expect to do the same things that they do and get a different result. Or you can't expect to do the same things you've always done and get a different result. So at some point, if it's important enough to you, you do have to put your foot down and start saying no. It's okay to be different because honestly, leaders usually are. You're not going to get different results from just going with the flow and following the crowd and doing what everybody else is doing. You're only going to get the results that you want if you are doing things differently from the people around you. It's definitely not easy to do. It's definitely going to take time and practice, again, especially if you are just starting out and you're finding yourself in this situation and you find that like every single weekend is a nightmare because you know you're faced with this pressure and the objections and the remarks and the comments and all of that. But it definitely does get easier. I promise, I promise, I promise. And you will get to a point where you're so deep rooted in what you're doing that you're going to be like, I don't even give a crap who says what about what I'm doing at this point because I love what I'm doing and I feel fantastic and I love the results that I've gotten. And it does not matter one single bit what anyone else says or what anyone else thinks about you. Let them talk, let them think, let them judge, let them do whatever they want. You can't control other people. You have to control what you're doing. And then hopefully one day, others around you, some people probably will start getting on board with that as well. Again, because it's not a diet. It's not a crazy restrictive diet. It's not anything that's unsustainable. It's not a drastic lose 50 pounds overnight. It's nothing like that. It is slow and steady and sustainable. And over time, people see that and they say, oh my gosh, that actually looks like it's manageable. And actually, I made all those comments, but like deep down, I wish I could do that. I wish I had that level of discipline. I really, really want to have those results and I really would love to change my lifestyle, but I don't know how to do it. And then you can help them and you can show them that there is a way to do it in a way that is very balanced and very sustainable. And then you can help lead them in that and show them how to track macros and show them how to work out and do all the things. And then you start almost like building your little community of people around you, which is really cool too. So I hope this helped. I hope this gave you some sort of encouragement in this, because again, remember, everyone goes through this. Some people worse than others. Some people deal with it a lot worse than others, I will say. Luckily, I did not have anything too crazy. I didn't have a crazy experience like some of the horror stories I've heard, but I definitely got my share of comments from friends, people in my life, all of that just did not quite get it at first. But again, it is up to you. It's up to you to say, okay, maybe that stung a little bit. Maybe I'm feeling a little discouraged, but I know what I'm doing. I trust the process and I'm fully committed. And so we're just going to put our head down and we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep moving forward. And one day you're going to be so glad that you did not allow what other people said or thought or wanted you to do to stop you from reaching that potential and stop you from doing what you've always wanted to do. So if this hits home for you, take a screenshot of the episode, tag me in your proudest moment of how you stayed strong under peer pressure, because I would love to cheer you on and support you from here. But that's all I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for chatting with me. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I really appreciate you, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.